Call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Label.
Okay, Dot, any correspondence?
Yes, there is. One, we have a letter from Michael DeSanctis resigning from the Board of Ethics immediately. That's the correspondence.
Okay, thank you. I have one I'll share. I was going to wait till Tuesday, but it was in yesterday's Newsday, so I'll share it today. This is a copy of a letter from Jay Schneiderman to Steve Ballone. In order to resolve allegations against them in landmark litigation filed in New York State, Nassau and Suffolk counties, major drug manufacturers have pledged significant funds toward abatement efforts in communities devastated by the opioid epidemic. For Suffolk County, a region where thousands of lives were taken by this scourge, the settlement sums are expected to exceed $100 million. As chair of the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association, I believe these funds would facilitate substantial opportunities for effective education, prevention, and treatment. To that end, it would be much appreciated if you can provide an update on the status of the settlement monies and perhaps any specific amounts or time frame regarding their availability to the county's respective municipalities. Both personally, on behalf of nearly 60,000 residents on the East End, thank you in advance for your time. Sincerely, Jay Schneiderman. So if you saw the article in Newsday yesterday, the 5 West End towns were part of the lawsuit going against it, and the East End Supervisors and Mayors decided to, write a letter and ask for it. Okay. We can start with our public hearings. Meg? That's what I'm sorry. I'm looking at it. Set public hearings.
All right.
Sorry.
Whereas the Shelter Island Public Works Department has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to add a fixed catwalk with aluminum ramp going to 2 8x20 floating docks anchored by 2 8-foot pilings. Catwalk will be made of, 8-inch pilings, sorry. Catwalk will be made of open grate through flow floats. Bridge Street Park, floats will be made from black box flotation and decking to be 5/4 by 6 timber tech composite of off Bridge Street Park into Deering Harbor. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 53(9) of the code of the town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:40 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2021 for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed construction. So moved.
Councilman Colligan seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Mary and Michael Lyons, 140 West Neck Road, have petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring on West Neck Bay at a location designated as latitude 41.06480 degrees north and 72.3630 and 3 degrees west. Said mooring location was formerly occupied by the Freedman W 2609 mooring. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:42 prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022 for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Ingrid Fagan, 66 Gardner's Bay Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring in Gardner's Bay at a location designated as latitude 41.061081 degrees north and longitude 72.193310 degrees west. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:44 prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
whereas Bill Griffiths, 47 East Southbury Road, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring in Cockles Harbor at a location designated as latitude 41.06698 degrees north and longitude 72.30492 degrees west. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to code section 90-5 of Code of Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:46 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022 for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Thomas J. Gillen, 9 Point Lane, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to to install a mooring in Shanty Bay of Cockles Harbor at a location designated as latitude 41.07236 degrees north and longitude 72.28118 degrees west. Said mooring location was formerly occupied by the C-1279 Arcoro mooring. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5 of the Code of Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:48 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Shelter Island Heights Property Owners Corporation, 9 Summerfield Place, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to remove and dispose of an 8-foot by 84-foot existing dock, construct new 8-foot by 84-foot dock in place in kind, construct 2 new 7-foot wide benches between dock piles, and construct new lifeguard chair on top of corner pile at the end of dock at property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 700-5-2-1. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 53-9 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:50 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed construction. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas the Rams Head Inn LLC, 108 South Ram Island Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to remove and dispose of an existing 5-foot by 80-foot dock, construct a new 5 by 80-foot fixed dock.
85.
Yeah, that's what I said, didn't
Oh, I
I? 85 fixed dock with 3-foot and 12-foot aluminum ramp leading to an 8-foot by 20-foot floating dock and an 8-foot by 40-foot floating dock placed in an L configuration and secured with 3 anchor piling. Construct pedestrian access stairs over dock and construct a 5-foot by 70-foot elevated ramp walkway from the existing 10 by 10-foot access platform leading to the dock structure in Cockles Harbor. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 53-9 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:52 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed construction. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Jennifer Boreski has taken and passed the civil service for the position of Principal Office Assistant, and whereas Civil Service has revised her position to be Principal Office Assistant. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby appoint Jennifer Boreski to said position effective retroactively to March 11th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Catherine Brigham is hereby appointed to serve as Recreation Specialist for the year 2022 at the rate of $30 per hour, retroactive to April 6, 2022. So
Second.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas Christina Martin Majasova has taken and passed the civil service test for the position of administrative assistant. Now therefore be it resolved that Christina Martin Majasova is hereby appointed to serve as permanent administrative assistant retroactive to March 11, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that Shelby Mundy is hereby appointed to serve as a member of the Board of Ethics.
Hmm.
Just the one, and then the other 2 are after the change.
Yeah.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Be resolved that Shelby Mundy is hereby.
We just
Oh, I
did
did
that
that. I'm sorry.
And then skip those 2.
Skip the Peter Beardsley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Whereas the term of James Eklund as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council expired on February 1st, 2022. And whereas Mr. Eklund has expressed his willingness to continue to serve the town in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that James Eklund is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council for a term to expire on February 1st, 2025. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. So moved. Whereas pursuant to section 31H of the Public Offices Law, a town officer must sign and file a constitutional oath of office within 30 days after the term of office begins. And whereas on March 11th, 2022, Peter McCracken was reappointed to serve as a member of the EMS Advisory Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2023. And whereas Mr. McCracken has not yet signed and filed such constitutional oath of office, and whereas the town board desires to have Mr. McCracken continue to serve the town of Shelter Island in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Peter McCracken is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the EMS Advisory Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2023. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas pursuant to section 31H of the Public Officers Law, a town officer must sign and file a constitutional oath of office within 30 days after the term of office begins. And whereas on March 11th, 2022, Marion Brownlee was reappointed to serve as a member of the EMS Advisory Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2023. And whereas Mrs. Brownlee has not yet signed and filed said constitutional oath of office, whereas the town board desires to have Mrs. Brownlee continue to serve the town of Shelter Island in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Marion Brownlee is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the EMS Advisory Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2023. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas pursuant to section 31H of the Public Officers Law, a town officer must sign and file a constitutional oath of office which within 30 days after the term of office begins. And whereas on March 11, 2022, Deborah Grayson was reappointed. Nope, she was not. She was appointed to serve as a member of the Board of Ethics. And whereas Ms. Grayson has not yet signed and filed said constitutional oath of office. And whereas the town board desires to have Ms. Grayson serve as the town of Shelter Island in said capacity. Now therefore be it resolved that Deborah Grayson is hereby appointed to serve as a member of the Board of Ethics.
So moved. So
Second.
moved.
So moved, sorry.
All those in favor?
Who's-
Aye.
Got hung up on the
Second.
read.
Meg?
Be it resolved that supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to credit the reimbursement check received from Phillips IHB Payments in the amount of $751.52, which represents the reimbursement for monitor cables to the A2701 account. Credit the reimbursement check received from PSE&G in the amount of $45.84 to the A4540.445 utilities account. And credit the reimbursement check received from the Shelter Island Ambulance Foundation, Inc. in the amount of $8,312 to the A4540408 account. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the supplemental snow and ice agreement between the town of Shelter Island and the New York State Department of Transportation, amending the 2021/2022 season. Estimated expenditure by adding funding to account for increases in labor, materials, equipment, and/or overall cost in the original agreement. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance has issued a notice of vendor collection credit to the town of Shelter Island for a period ending February 28th, 2022, in the amount of $38.84. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor hereby authorized and directed to transfer the sum of $38.84 from the trust and agency account to the general account. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Ad hoc Fresh Pond Study Committee, a volunteer committee, was formed to assist the town in overseeing a study whose goal was to reduce or eliminate the environmental degradation of Fresh Pond, including harmful algal blooms. And whereas the Fresh Pond Neighbors Association has most generously allotted $15,000 as a charitable contribution towards the expense of the study, and said study has been completed. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Shelter Island does hereby accept the contribution of $15,000 and most graciously thanks the Fresh Pond Neighbors Association for their support in studying water quality and the feasibility of remediating algal blooms in Fresh Pond. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas sealed bids were received by the town clerk's office until 3 PM on the 6th day of April 2022 for the construction of police and fire boat floating docks, at which time they were publicly opened and read aloud as follows. I'm just going to read the totals. Is that okay? Ian Crowley, DBA Crowley Marine, $38,580. John F. Costello, DBA Costello Marine and Contracting Corp., $39,750. Sean Haney, DBA S. Haney Marine Construction, Inc., 58,800. And whereas the Commissioner of Public Works has reviewed said bids now, therefore be it resolved that the bid is hereby awarded to Crowley Marine Contracting, the lowest responsible bidder for the sum of $38,580. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas sealed bids were received by the town clerk's office until 3 PM on the 6th day of April 2022 for the purchase of a new 2023 Freightliner 108 SD with stellar hook lift, at which time they were publicly opened and read aloud as follows. Trucks, Inc., base package of $268,420. All extended warranties were $4,542. Roll-off container was $9,682 for a total bid of $282,644. And whereas the superintendent of highways has received said bid, now therefore be it resolved that said bid is hereby awarded to Trucks, Inc., the sole bidder for the aforementioned amounts to be purchased with capital equipment funds. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas sealed bids and estimates were received by the town clerk's office until 3 PM on the first day of April 2022 for the construction of the foundation for the Crescent Beach portable restroom and pavilion structure. And whereas the following bids were received for the foundation. Eric Baumbeck, DBA Construction Consultants, Long Island Incorporated, $80,800. Aaron Egan, DMB Construction, Con, $86,300. And whereas the Commissioner of Public Works has received said bids, now therefore be it resolved that the bid for the construction and the foundation is hereby awarded to Eric Baumbeck, DBA Construction Consultants / Long Island Incorporated for the sum of $80,800. And the estimates for the pavilion structure are hereby thrown out and will be rebid on April 14th, 2022. And I just a comment on that before we second that. It was my understanding at Tuesday's meeting that when it came to meeting the requirement in the bid for the WMB,
Mhm.
that the only one that met that of the two was the Egan Construction. And when we did the math on that, it would be foolish not to go with slightly higher bidder, which was less than $5,500, because the penalty built on that for the 30% loss in cost of that grant would far exceed that amount of money. So I just wanted to go on note, just to remind everybody that at Tuesday's meeting, I thought we were going to go with the Aaron Egan construction simply because it met the requirement where the other one did not. And the loss of monies far exceeded the slight saving in the initial cost. Amber, do you remember that as well?
Mhm.
So I just want to go on record as saying that, so
Could be a mistake.
it could be. I mean, to be honest with you, that requirement, I believe, is a 30%, isn't it?
It's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30%
WM,
BE.
I can't remember.
But when you do the math on that, on the,
Yeah.
what we're spending on that,
Mhm.
and it far exceeds that.
So that's why it was thrown out?
Well, I didn't get that. Estimates of the pavilion structure are hereby then thrown out and rebid April 14th, 2022. Is he looking for a second bid that meets the requirement? And I didn't think so. Time is kind of the essence
thought-
here a little bit, because
I
we're
thought,
trying
I
to,
thought he had, when I spoke with Brian, I thought he said the Eric Balmack had all the proper,
no, that's not,
No?
not according to my notes
Okay.
on that thing. You remember, Amber? I was going,
Yeah.
I even made it a point to say, the difference is $5,500. If you take 30% off the $226,000 grant, it far exceeds that.
Totally.
It's $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah.
It's not even in the ballpark.
why don't we put this on hold? I'll give Brian a
Can
call.
we do a special meeting?
Can we do
on
it?
I'll
Tuesday?
give Brian a
Tuesday?
call. And see.
Special meeting Tuesday?
Because we want to make sure we award it to the right people. I don't want it,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
don't want to lose that money with the grant.
No action Tuesday. maybe it's perhaps special meeting Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless Brian is available before the end of this meeting. Is it possible that
I'm gonna
it
call
was
him.
just a mix-up?
All right.
Let Christina.
Oh.
And let's just put this aside
Okay,
and then we'll
Um,
come back to it.
I have the full,
you with the
yeah, let me do the
summary?
assessors.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do this differently. The full law or proposal is on file with the town clerk. And we're just going to read the first paragraph and the summary paragraph. So just kind of make this a little
Streamline.
less tedious. Be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:56 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law repealing Town Code Chapter 3 entitled Assessors in its entirety, and to create a new Chapter 3 entitled Sole Appointed Assessor in order to abolish the offices of the 3 elected assessors and create the office of a single appointed assessor. Summary of this law. The purpose of this local law is to convert from the elected assessors to a sole appointed assessor so as to increase the consistency, continuity, and proficiency of the assessing of the town of Shelter Island's properties. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 4:58 PM prevailing time on the 29th day of April, 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law amending Town Code Chapter 115 entitled Taxation, article entitled Exemptions for Veterans to increase the exemptions for disabled, wartime, and combat veterans as follows. The purpose of this local law is to amend the town code to update the maximum taxation exemptions for veterans in proportion to the increase in the cost of living and property values here on Shelter Island. So moved.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
I recuse myself from the vote.
Okay.
Okay,
Jim, I have the complete on the Community Housing Fund, so I think I'll go ahead.
with
Okay,
the
All
summary.
right.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 5 PM prevailing time on the 29th of April, 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed local law amending the Town Code of Shelter Island to include a new chapter, Chapter 52, to be entitled Community Housing Fund. As follows, the purpose of this local law is to amend the town code to establish a community housing fund where monies deposited therein may be expended solely for community housing opportunities within Shelter Island. It is a necessary repository for any funds reserved for community housing, including from the soon-to-be proposed 0.5% supplemental real estate transfer tax. Further, this amendment ensures that any monies expended from the fund will be in conformity with the community housing plans. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll do this one.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the following 2022 budget transfers are hereby approved. $10,000 from A 1015.102 McGahey Media and $1,500 from A 1015.105 McGahey Longevity and $600 from A 1220.108 Capital Planning Clerk and $1,833.06 from A 1356.105 Board of Assessment Review Clerk and $265 from A 1480.100 Green Options Clerk and $1,222.34 from A 4540.100 EMS Clerk and $411.91 from A 5989.100 Ferry Study Clerk and $1,176.26 from A 8140.100 Community Housing Board Clerk to a new A 1220.111 Committees Clerk and $6,051.87 from A 1410.104 Jacobs Longevity to a new A 1220.111 Committee Clerk. $6,493.64 from 1410.101 Deputy Town Clerk to A 1410.109 Linda Cass, $576.30 from A 1410.104 Jacobs Longevity to A 1410.105 Robert Messafaro, $6,333.51 from A 5710.102 Jacobs Waterways to A 5710.100 Waterways Committee Clerk, $4,900 from A 1410.104 Jacobs Longevity to A 1420.102 Legal Aid. B, let's see, 6,000?
One- 1,100.
$1,133.03 from B 3610.100 Contractor License Review Board Clerk and $6,749.34 from B 8012.102 Zoning Board of Appeals Clerk and $7,041.41 from B 8020.102 Planning Board Clerk and $3,242.31 from B 8030.100 Water Advisory Committee Clerk and $7,283.75 from B 8040.101 Comprehensive Plan Clerk and $1,152.36 from B 8710.100 Conservation Advisory Committee Clerk and $1,000 from B 3620.112 Beard Raymond Longevity and $78.92 from B 8012.103 Beard Raymond ZBA to a new B 1220.111 part-town committees clerk. $5,000 from B 3620.107 Building Permit Examiner to B 3620.103 McGahey. $5,000 from B 3620.107 Building Permits Examiner to B 8010.103 McGahey Zoning. $750 from B 3620.107 Building Permits Examiner to B 3620.105 McGahey Longevity. $750 from B 3620.107 Building Permits Examiner to B 8010.105 McGahey Zoning Longevity. $31,000 from B 3620.107 Building Permits Examiner and $4,001 from B 8012.103 Beard Raymond ZBA to B 1990.400 Part-Town Contingent. $6,732 from CP 8805.102 LBR WQI and $1,686.55 from CP 8805.488 septic rebates to CP 8805.101 WQI clerk. Those are all transfers for this year's budget. We also have a list of transfers from the 2021 budget, which are available in the town clerk's office.
That's what I thought.
Be it further resolved that the following funds are hereby encumbered, is this the same one? Yeah. Hereby encumbered from 2021 to be expended in 2022 with 2021 funds. $3,856 from A 3120.400 Police Maintenance for Suffolk Security Systems for Dickinson Creek Police Dock. $5,455 from the A 3120.400 Police Maintenance for Suffolk County Security Systems for Congdon Creek Police. Be it further reason, that's it. So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. Want me to clean this up?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yes.
say we can go
Okay.
back to.
So now we have some resolution on that. That was correct in this. That when you take a look at the total grant, it was $226,000. The MWBE requirement is a requirement of the grant at 30%. If you take 30% of the 226,000, that's $67,800. If you compare that with the saving of $5,500, it doesn't come close. Obviously, you need to divide the 67,800 by 2 because it's between the state and us. It's still $33,900, almost $34,000. It's a major difference in saving. So therefore, with that in mind, the actual award for that construction bid for both the trailer, the portable restroom, and for the pavilion itself will be awarded to Aaron Egan, DMB Construction Contractors at $86,300. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pick up, Jim.
So it went to Egan.
Mhm. Okay, and then be it resolved that 2022 general claims numbered 185 through 337 in the amount of $142,420.30. 2022 highway claims 18 through 32 in the amount of $133,563.34. 2022 West Neck water claims numbered 4 through 6 in the amount of $565.04. 2022 community preservation claim number 3 in the amount of $15.50 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of same. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm a little confused.
Maybe Jim should do all the waterways, Meg?
Yeah. Well,
Or wait,
now
yeah.
we go to public hearings, right?
Oh, so we can approve and then,
Yeah, those can be
Okay.
read afterwards, right?
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So then we do
What-
public hearings and then we.
Okay, so we're gonna recess the meeting for a public hearing on the Amico mooring application. Dot?
The application of Thomas Amico, 10B Club Drive to install a mooring in Cockles Harbor at Shanty Bay, taking over the mooring of Cole C 3519 in place in kind. Said mooring location was formerly occupied by Cole and designated as latitude 41.07358 degrees north and longitude 72.28073 degrees west.
Yes, and thank you, Dot. And a meeting on April the 4th, at a vote of 601, the one person abstained was Mike, was installing that mooring. Those grid coordinates are correct, so it passed 601.
Okay, any comments on this one? Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on the Coppins dock replacement. Dot?
Yeah, okay. The application of Bradley Coppins, 32 Little Ram Island Drive, to remove existing dock structure consisting of 4-foot by 106-foot fixed dock with a 10-foot by 10-foot seaward end and construct a new 4-foot by 32-foot inshore walkway leading to a 4-foot by 100-foot catwalk with a 4-foot by 30-foot L section.
On that same date, April 4th, we met on a vote of 501 that was passed. And I would just like to make a couple of comments because we spent quite a bit of time on this particular one. This was a dock that had been located fairly close to the property line of the neighbor. And in order to alleviate that, they decided to put the dock at a slight angle to the right in order to take it away and make it less obtrusive for the neighbor. So therefore, the dock length actually went from 106 feet in length to 112 feet. And that got them into the 2.5 feet of water that was required at mean low tide. There was no hardship letter. However, I will comment, the day after the meeting, Bill Garrity, who was a member of the WMAC, thought that there should be a hardship letter. That was not voted on and was not part of the thing. It was passed without that. Simply because he felt that it sent a potential dangerous precedent. Again, I think most of the committee felt that, yes, it was a minor increase in length, but it got to the same water depth that was desired. And it did make it, it did move it further away from the property of the neighbor. So therefore, that's why they passed it the way they did.
Did he abstain?
He didn't abstain. That wasn't his, he voted for it, but his comment the next day was, after carefully thinking on that, I really would have voted, cast a no vote. But again, the meeting was the day before. We did take that into consideration. I do share that information with all of you. But again, when you go like this and you move that dock over slightly, to get to that same 2.5 feet of water, dock has to be extended additional 6 feet from 106 to 112 in order to get that. It was a minor correction. It moved it further away from the neighbor's house. So the committee voted for it.
Okay, I see Sean and Jackie here. I don't know if either of you want to speak to this or whose it is.
Jack's, I think.
It was Jack's.
Jack.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Costello's. Yeah, I think it was a minor.
I'm just here to answer any questions, guys. I have no comment.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any. I think,
I think I explained it right,
yeah,
Jack?
Yeah, sounds good, Jim.
okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments on this one? All right, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on a local law regarding Board of Ethics. We could do the
A public
summary.
hearing on the proposed local law entitled Increased Number of Board of Ethics Members from 3 to 5. Do you want this whole local law read? or
No,
you
we'll just do
wanna-
the summary, Dot.
Okay. Let's
I'll read it
see.
at the bottom.
Yep,
Summary of
yep.
proposed, yep. The purpose
Okay.
of this, okay, I'll read it.
I didn't put the
purpose-
summary in the report, okay?
I got it. Somebody get, I think this.
Yeah, you have it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. The purpose of this local law is to amend the town code to increase the membership of the Board of Ethics from 3 to 5 members in order to broaden the makeup of the board and increase the effectiveness and efficiency thereof. Okay. I think that speaks for itself. The town board felt, we're renewing or rejuvenating the Board of Ethics, getting it back in place. And we felt as long as we were doing that, maybe we would raise it from 3 to 5 to be a little more of a cross section of the island. And, if someone had to recuse themselves for some reason, we'd still have a good number of people.
And also to maybe ask more of them, so there'll be more members to spread out the increase.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
You
That's
know.
an excellent point, because I think we are going to ask more of them. The other thing is the quality of the interviews. The people
Oh.
that we got, the quality of the interviews were superb.
It's hard.
And, it's to our advantage to have, I think, 5 good qualified people on here to hash out some of these more controversial issues. So I think BJ's point is well taken.
Okay.
There's more is going to be expected. So
All right, Stephen, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, just real quick, just wanted to give you, the legislative authorization here. So New York State General Municipal Law, Section 806 mandates that each town have a code of ethics, mandates that we have to. General Municipal Law, Section 808 says we may establish a local board of ethics. So we have, and then within that provision, it says the board shall consist of at least 3 members. So you have the authority to increase it based on the reasoning you just gave. And I think it's compelling, so we should go forward.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
There a hand, Christina?
No, I don't see any. Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing. And open the hearing on the local law regarding records and public access.
That's what it is, a public hearing on a proposed local law entitled Records, Public Access. Do you want that one read?
There's a
Somebody has
summary.
the summary. I don't have it, though. You have
I
it,
don't
BJ?
either.
Yeah, I have a summary. Whereas, I'm sorry, the purpose of this local law is to streamline the process for making records available to the public by making the chief building inspector, who is the custodian of building department records, the records access officer for same, and consequently designating the location of inspection to be in the building department.
Okay. Kind of speaks for itself.
It really
Yep,
does.
it does.
It just
Yep.
makes
Okay,
it
any
simpler for
questions,
the
comments
public.
on this one? Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on a local law regarding zoning.
I have a summary too here, Dot. Do you want me to read that?
If you want to,
You-
that's not up to me.
Okay, whereas the public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April, 2022. Is this right?
You don't want that. That's a resolution
No,
to
you just
adopt.
want to read the summary.
I'm
That's
just
the
reading
wrong
the summary.
thing.
I'm sorry. Yep, the purpose of this local law is to make all notice requirements in connection with zoning board of appeals applications 30 days. It's a change of the notice time period.
right.
Very simple.
Correcting a typo.
Yeah.
You may want to, BJ, you may want to just read the legislative intent that clarifies it a little more.
Oh, okay, thank you. Section 1, legislative intent. The town board has determined that there is an inconsistency in the notice timeframes for zoning board of appeals here in after referred to as ZBA applications. To wit, notice via mailing and posting for all ZBA applications is 30 days, but notice via publication is 30 days for just variance applications and 10 for all other ZBA applications, such as special permits and interpretations. In order to cure such inconsistency, the notice by publication must be 30 days as well.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments on this one?
Nope.
Okay, we'll close that hearing and open the hearing on the, what is it?
Richards.
Richard Stock
Richard
application.
Stock application.
Okay, the application of Dale P. Richards, 62 Gardner's Bay Drive, to remove and dispose of existing 80-foot of bulkhead, replace with new 80-foot bulkhead in kind, in place, construct a 3-foot by 6-foot platform with a 3-foot by 20-foot staircase leading to a 3-foot by 5-foot cantilevered platform with aluminum stairs leading to the beach.
Yeah, the WMAC met back in February, on February 16th, and by a vote of 4-0, it was unanimous. There were no real issues here. It was done in place, and they didn't have any real issues with the staircase as well. So that was it.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Comments? Okay, we'll close that hearing and we'll act on, or reconvene our meeting and act on the public hearings. Start with Amico.
Whereas Thomas Amico, 10B Club Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring in Cockles Harbor at Shanty Bay, taking over the mooring of Cole C-3519 in place, in kind.
Yep.
Said mooring location was formerly occupied by Cole and designated as latitude 41.07358 degrees north and longitude 72.28073 degrees west. And whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition, now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned installation. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Whereas Bradley Coppins of 32 Little Ram Drive has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to remove the existing dock structure consisting of a 4-foot by 106-foot fixed dock with a 10-foot by 10-foot seaward end and construct a new 4-foot by 32-foot inshore walkway leading to a 4-foot by 100-foot catwalk with a 4-foot by 30-foot L section. And whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Part 617, Section 617.10 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and the Chapter 60, I'm having a coughing spell, 60 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island. Notice is hereby given to the town board as the lead agency has determined that the project will have no significant effect on the environment, and a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Environmental review status pursuant to Chapter 60 of the Town Code of the Town of Shelter Island, Type 2. Reasons for supporting this determination. The proposed dock replacement, number one, will not cause an obstruction to the navigational channels or interfere with navigation. Number two, will not adversely affect the public's right to use town waters or land under town waters. Number three, will not adversely affect shell fishing grounds or other aquatic wildlife which may exist in the immediate area. Number four, will not adversely affect the quality of tidal waters, shorelines, or beaches. Number five, will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent residents. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned construction as per specifications filed after said applicant pursuant to Section 53-9 of the Code of Town of Shelter Island has filed with the town clerk a certificate that the owner has at least $300,000 worth of liability insurance on the location and operations covered by said permit, and a copy of the contractor's current home improvement contractor's license, and a certificate from the contractor performing the operations covered by said permit, that said contractor has an owners/contractors policy issued in favor of the town of Shelter Island for liability limits of at least $500,000 covering operations of the construction pursuant to said permit. And be it further resolved that said operation shall be completed within 1 year from the date of issuance of this permit. Said permit is subject to the recommended limitations and any requirements that may be necessary in the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Army Corps of Engineers, or any other agencies having jurisdiction. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
You want to do this one? Did you say there was a change in it?
I don't. Oh, no, that's.
Ethics.
Oh, okay.
Go with this one.
Okay. This, whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April 2022 and a proposed local law entitled Code of Ethics to increase the number of Board of Ethics members from 3 to 5. And whereas all interested persons were heard in favor of or in opposition. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts local law number blank 2022 entitled Increased Number of Board of Ethics members from 3 to 5. To wit, local law number to be determined of 2022, be it enacted as follows. And again, rather than read it all, we're trying to summarize. The purpose of the local law is to amend the town code to increase the membership of the Board of Ethics from 3 to 5 members in order to broaden the makeup of the board and increase the effectiveness and efficiency thereof. So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
be it resolved that Peter Beardsley is hereby appointed to serve as a member of the Board of Ethics. So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
did we do the other?
Mhm.
Robert Raver? Be it resolved that Robert Raver is hereby appointed to serve as a member of the Board of Ethics. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
We won't make you read one.
Okay, Jim, you want to do,
Richards? Dale Richards?
Board of Ethics records and pub, no.
I've got it.
All right. you got
Whereas a
that?
public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law entitled Records Public Access. And whereas all interested persons were heard, now therefore be it resolved that local law to be assigned of 2022 entitled Records Public Access is hereby adopted as follows. Be enacted by the town board of the town of Shelter Island as follows. Section 1, legislative intent. The town board has determined that in order to streamline the processing of freedom of information record requests, that the chief building inspector serve as a records access officer for building department records and further designate the building department as the location to inspect same. Section 2, amendment, section 100-12 of the Shelter Island Code, chapter 100, records public access 2 is hereby amended by deleting the stricken words and adding the underlined words as follows. Then it goes on to location, amendment, designation of the records office, authority, and severability. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas a
Yep.
public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April 2022 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to a proposed local law entitled zoning. Whereas all interested persons were heard, now therefore be it resolved that local law number to be determined 2022 entitled zoning is hereby adopted. To wit, the purpose of this local law is to make all notice requirements in connection with zoning board of appeals applications to be a uniform 30 days. So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. Want me to do Richards?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm just gonna cut it down a little bit because it's exactly what I just read in the other one. So whereas Dale P. Richards, 62 Gardner's Bay Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to remove and dispose of an existing 80-foot bulkhead, a new 80-foot bulkhead in kind in place, construct a 6-foot by a 3-foot by 6-foot platform and a 3-foot by 20-foot staircase leading to a 3-foot by 5-foot cavalier platform and aluminum stairs leading to the beach. And whereas the public hearing was duly held on the 8th day of April 2022, to all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to part 617 of section 617 to 10 the state environmental code, and we meet all 5 of those requirements. It goes on further, be resolved, the same things I just read. It is all about the insurance, $300,000 and $500,000 for the town. And be it further resolved that said operation shall be completed within 1 year from the time, which is exactly what I just read with the other one, and conform to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Army Corps of Engineers, and other agencies having jurisdiction. So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna.
Can I say
open the
something?
meeting. Sure.
Can we backtrack a little bit to the zoning? I was trying to get your attention. We need a
I'm
roll
sorry.
call vote on that.
Oh,
Okay.
It's zoning. You have to have a roll call vote on zoning.
Okay. We have that one?
Thank
You
you.
want to
Dot.
do that? You want to do that or you want me to
Right
do
now,
that?
thanks, Todd.
Thank you,
10
Doug.
days to the
Thank
30.
you, Dottie.
Okay. So,
So you
So-
want to do it or you want me to do it?
you do it, Dot,
Okay,
please.
all right. Councilwoman Brock Williams.
Votes aye.
Okay. Councilwoman Larson,
Aye.
Councilman Ian
affirmative.
Fowler,
aye.
Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
and Supervisor Siller.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dot. I didn't see your hand,
Thank you.
sorry. Okay, any public? Ambrose? Okay, anybody in the audience,
In the Zoom audience.
in the Zoom audience? There's nobody in the
Nobody in
building,
the
except that
building.
Ambrose is here. Let's not say
Yeah.
nobody.
How do we see those people if there isn't a hand?
They have a ability.
Yeah.
Okay, if nobody wants to say anything, we're gonna make a motion that we close the meeting. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.